Recap. Tales of Herding Gods, Chapter 583. Chapter. Chin strode amidst the shattered remnants of Without Embroiling City, accompanied by Granny C and the others. Each of them had cultivated a distinct Tao, and thus what they perceived within the lingering traces of divine arts differed vastly. As they exchanged insights and debated their understandings, their words intertwined like threads of fate, and Chin reaped immense benefit from their discourse. Though he had already grasped his own cultivation method and stepped onto the path, every facet of his fleshly body still paled in comparison to Granny C, blind, and the rest. This stemmed from the nature of his technique. It tempered the corporeal body, primordial spirit, and vital chi in unison. Because of this, he could not rival the swiftness of Blind, Mute, and the others, who had honed a single path to its utmost peak. Nor did he possess the years required to delve as deeply into each discipline as they had. Yet when Blind and the others spoke, it became nourishment for all. Through critique and shared wisdom, they refined themselves further. Each of them stood at the pinnacle of their respective fields, their attainments bordering the limits of mortal comprehension. From the divine arts left behind by the gods and devils of Supreme Emperor Heaven, they discerned their own deficiencies, verifying and correcting one another. Granny, I have already fused together all the cultivation systems of Supreme Emperor Heaven and comprehended the Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, one that tempers the entire body. Chin released his vital chi, shaping it into a human form. Within it, he revealed the intricate pathways of chi circulation through divine eyes, the brain, the dantian, limbs, bones, spirit embryo, the 5 elements, 6 directions, and 7 stars, displayed without concealment. Granny Sai, Blind, Butcher, Mute, and the rest were immediately drawn in. They circled the structure, examining every detail with utmost focus. The more they observed, the greater their astonishment grew. Within Chin divine eyes lay a hidden realm, revealing their inner circulation. The brain housed distinct pathways that amplified its power. Whether it was the hands, feet, skin, or even the 5 viscera and 6 bowels, each bore a complete and intricate circulation system. Within the divine treasures, vital chi flowed in accordance with their respective wonders. The spirit, embryo, and soul intertwined, borrowing chi to strengthen the primordial spirit. The 5 elements divine treasure divided chi into 5 elemental forces, each governed by its respective deity, seated upon the 5 stars. Everywhere, chi moved along distinct and harmonious routes. Within the 6 directions divine treasure, the earth chi surged rapidly, transforming into a magnetic force of the land. The 7 stars divine treasure governed the 5 elemental stars, the sun and the moon, unifying their strength to support the primordial spirit. Beyond this, Chin spirit, embryo, and soul were fused inseparably with his corporeal body. This fusion allowed his vital chi to circulate seamlessly throughout his entire being. When the primordial spirit's chi followed the same pathways, he could refine both body and spirit simultaneously. The circulation pathways of his technique formed a 3-dimensional structure of astonishing intricacy. Within every organ of his body lay profound principles, forming a complete cultivation system. Any single organ's method could be isolated and used to cultivate a specific aspect, all the way to the God realm. What was even more extraordinary was that Chin had unified these countless detailed techniques through the fusion of primordial spirit and corporeal body, like sifting grain from chaff. Techniques that should never have merged had been woven into one. This was Chin greatest accomplishment. This Overlord Body 3 elixir technique of Mu'er is truly unparalleled. Granny C, Cripple, and the others exclaimed in admiration, as if clouds had parted to reveal the blazing sun. In the past, they had each cultivated a single aspect to the God realm, only to find their path blocked, unable to progress further or integrate the rest of the body. Mu'er, the difficulty of this technique lies in its complexity of circulation. Under normal methods, one would require dozens of techniques to achieve what you have simplified into one. Butcher sighed in awe. The most crucial point is the fusion of primordial spirit and corporeal body. The 5 element stars correspond to the 5 viscera and 6 bowels, the sun and moon to the eyes, and the 6 directions land, born from the spirit embryo to the dantian. Through this, all techniques are unified. Granny C nodded. This is the most exquisite aspect of the Overlord Body 3 elixir technique. Without such a method to fuse spirit and flesh, unification would be impossible. Mu'er, did you learn this from the gods and devils of Supreme Emperor Heaven? Qin Mu's expression dimmed as he shook his head. I comprehended it from First Ancestor Human Emperor. First Ancestor Human Emperor? The villagers of disabled elderly village were instantly invigorated, their praise flowing endlessly. That senior truly possesses unmatched ability. This method resolves the great problem that has plagued us for years. Hearing their words, Qin Mu's mood sank even deeper. Butcher and Granny C were correct. The success of his technique stemmed from the inseparable fusion of spirit and body, and that insight came from the First Ancestor Human Emperor. He had taken defeating the First Ancestor as his goal, entering Supreme Emperor Heaven and striving tirelessly, studying the strengths of gods and devils alike. Yet he had never expected that his greatest breakthrough would still originate from that very man. He wished to surpass him, yet even standing in the same realm, the gap remained immense. He had a method. Granny, Grandpa Butcher, this is only half of my Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, Qin Mu said suddenly. The elders were engrossed in studying the chi-formed body. Absorbing what they could, Butcher froze upon hearing this, exclaiming, "Only half?" Qin Mu nodded. The vital chi figure before him shifted instantly. Divine treasures of the Devil Path emerged, and the circulation split into two, revealing a second system. Everyone trembled violently, struck speechless. Divine treasures of the Devil Path. This was not something humans could cultivate. Yet within Qin Mu's body, two systems coexisted, mirrored and unified, their chi circulating in harmony. Blind turned his gaze toward Qin Mu, his eyes sharp as lightning. Qin Mu did not conceal anything, opening his Devil Path divine treasures for inspection. His display of the technique was not for pride, but sincerity. He wished to aid the villagers in understanding and breaking through their bottlenecks. The others gathered around, studying him intently for a long time. Yet even Butcher gained nothing. I cannot learn it. Butcher shook his head after the setback. I am not the Overlord Body. None of you can learn it either. The village chief was right. Mu'er is the one and only Overlord Body. Even with the method laid bare, they could not grasp it, for they lacked the Devil Path divine treasures. Blind studied Qin Mu for a long time before his gaze fell upon the willow leaf-shaped mark at Qin Mu's brow. Mu'er, your techniques are exquisite, but the method within your divine eyes seems incomplete. Qin Mu nodded, recounting how devil experts had interrupted him while he was comprehending them. Blind smiled. I see, however, you possess an additional eye. Perhaps its incompleteness is a blessing. Give me time. I will complete your divine eyes technique and open this third eye. His voice brimmed with excitement. Qin Mu had always been wary of that eye. This eye may not stem from the technique itself. Its sudden appearance may carry hidden danger. The others gathered to inspect it. Apothecary examined it carefully and shook his head. It is a devil eye refined from the spirit embryo divine treasure of the Devil Path. It should pose no issue. You may open it. If Blind cannot complete it, I will force it open for you. They cast him aside and returned to studying the chi body. Soon, they returned to the sentry post, each retreating into their own contemplation, refining their techniques. Qin Mu's demonstration had provided them far greater insight than the ruins themselves. It revealed a path to break through their stagnation. Granny Sai's algebra was weaker, and her progress slowest. She sought guidance from Blind and the others. Together, they pooled their strengths, exchanging ideas. Hu Linger, having studied under Deaf, was also proficient in algebra and joined them. Chancellor Ba Shan joined as well, and their progress accelerated. When dawn broke, they emerged with great gains. After breakfast, Qin Mu saw that Granny C and the others were still immersed in refining their ideas. He refrained from disturbing them and called Hu Linger to eat. Cult Master, I want water element divine vitality pills. The dragon Qilin dragged his basin over. Half a bucket. Qin Mu laughed joyfully. Fatty Dragon has grown. I'll give you a full bucket. The dragon Qilin beamed. After refining the pills, Qin Mu turned to the Green Bull. Bull 3, what pills do you take? The Green Bull, though sleepless from cultivating the ancestral Dragon Supreme Mystery technique, remained vigorous. He bowed. Little Old Master, I do not consume pills. Reliance on them leads to excess. Qin Mu smiled. Spirit pills accelerate cultivation. With diligence, excess energy can be refined away. Your technique consumes immense energy. Without replenishment, your body will wither. Given your green dragon bloodline of wind and lightning, I shall prepare wind, lightning, sun god pills. The green bull rejoiced. If you could add floral fragrance, that would be even better. Chinmu obliged, crafting the pills. Their fragrance filled the air. The green bull tasted them, overjoyed, and hurried to cultivate. The dragon Qilin shuddered, hastily consuming his pills before fleeing to cultivate. Suddenly, realization struck him. Not good. Cult Master is exploiting my weakness. First teaching the green bull, then refining pills. He's forcing me to work harder. Could it be my human rearing scriptures? He checked quickly and sighed in relief. I'm overthinking. Chinmu and Hulinger ate as he leisurely flipped through a booklet. Young master, burn it after reading. You mustn't let him know I copied it. Hulinger urged. Chinmu sneered. Fatty Dragon dares scheme against me? Luckily, I discovered it early, or I'd have become his pill slave. Don't worry, I won't betray you. Suddenly, Blind's voice rang out with delight. Muir, we've completed your Divine Eyes technique. Come try. Chinmu set down his bowl and hurried over. Blind displayed the completed circulation with his chi. We believe this is the method to awaken your third eye. Examine it. Chinmu studied it carefully. Not only had they filled in the missing parts, they had devised a method specifically for the third eye. After calculating, he shook his head. Nothing is missing. He memorized the pathways and immediately executed the technique. Everyone stared at his brow, waiting. As Chinmu circulated his Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique, dragon roars echoed within his chi, converging at his brow. Suddenly, from the willow leaf mark, a drop of black blood seeped out. Then the eyelids split apart. The eye opened. At the very center of Chinmu's brow, that willow leaf-shaped vertical eye slowly pried itself open, as though a hidden heavenly aperture was being forced apart by an unseen force. From within the narrow slit, radiant brilliance spilled forth, unfolding like the delicate wings of a butterfly, dazzling and otherworldly. So beautiful! Granny C could not help but exclaim, her voice trembling with admiration. Yet though the butterfly wing patterns shimmered with enchanting grace, there lurked within them an indescribable terror, as if something ancient and dreadful was concealed beneath that beauty. Butcher Blind and the others stepped forward to observe more closely. Chinmu continued circulating his technique, and the vertical eye opened wider and wider. The sight was uncanny. His entire head seemed to be transforming into a colossal butterfly. Of course, this butterfly did not grow behind him, but directly from his forehead. In the next instant, Butcher and the rest felt waves of horrifying pulses, as though a primordial beast hidden in a bottomless abyss was awakening, slowly prying open its blood-red eye. What is that? Butcher, Blind, and Mute were the first to regain clarity, their divine senses erupting as their auras surged forth. They had sensed mortal danger, and their bodies reacted instinctively. Butcher moved the fastest. His figure flickered, and with a sharp cry, his divine blade shot skyward, circling once before hovering in midair, poised to strike. Mute followed closely behind. From the forging furnace at his back, a pillar of blazing fire erupted into the heavens. The column of flame twisted violently, scorching the sky into a searing crimson. Blind was a fraction slower. Divine Spear. Long Tuo trembled violently, transforming into a black dragon that coiled tightly around his body. Gathering strength as it prepared to unleash a devastating strike, Granny Sai was next. Her aura erupted uncontrollably, and behind her, countless stars flickered into existence, forming a vast, great, overarching heavenly stars force field to resist the terrifying pulses. Boom! Cripple turned and fled without hesitation, vanishing into the distance in a flash, putting 100 miles between himself and the epicenter. Only then did realization dawn upon him. This seems to be coming from Muir's body, not some external monster. Zheng Bashan unsheathed his blade, his eyes darting about as he shouted in alarm. Where is the monster? Though his blade techniques could not rival masters like Butcher, he had forged his own school of battle arts and possessed an acute sensitivity to danger. Deaf and Apothecary, however, wore blank expressions. Apothecary in particular had no idea what had just occurred. Deaf's cultivation had yet to reach the God realm. He was only at the middle stage of the divine bridge realm and had not even begun the patching process. Moreover, he was wholly immersed in the Tao of painting, indifferent to worldly affairs, and thus his reactions lagged behind. Apothecary had only broken through his life and death wall 2 years prior and still lingered upon it. He placed little importance on cultivation, and thus his progress was slow. Only after Qin Mu spread the secrets of Magpie Bridge, secrets of Mysterious Guide, and secrets of Divine Crossing did he begin to take cultivation more seriously. Even so, the many women around him often delayed his advancement. Though the two were the slowest, they soon realized something was amiss. Those terrifying pulses that had swept past them felt like the awakening of an ancient, dreadful entity. Yet the source was none other than the third eye. Qin Mu was opening. Everyone turned their gaze toward the center of his brow. The light pouring forth grew ever more resplendent, and within it, a shadowy figure could be seen. It was minuscule, like a newborn infant, yet it stood upon the light and slowly walked outward from the depths of Qin Mu's third eye. With every step, it grew larger and larger until it filled the entirety of the vertical eye. Mu'er, stop circulating the Overlord Body 3 elixir technique. Butcher roared as if facing a mortal foe. There's something strange in your eye. Stop at once. But it was already too late. The black figure had filled the eye and was about to step out. I feel power surging through me, Qin Mu muttered, his voice distorted and delirious. Power enough to destroy everything. At those words, the elders of Disabled Elderly Village felt a chill pierce their hearts. From Qin Mu's mouth came not one voice, but two, overlapping and speaking as one. Kacha! The heavens trembled violently. The light from the third eye twisted space itself, and a terrifying force seeped out, destabilizing the surrounding void. Thunder roared as cracks began to spread across the air. The space of Supreme Emperor Heaven had already been fragile due to the devil's actions, easily torn apart. Yet such destruction required the might of a god, and now the power emanating from Qin Mu's eye was tearing the very fabric of space to pieces. Countless cracks spread endlessly like a web. Within the sentry post of Supreme Emperor Heaven, dozens of divine art practitioners witnessed the spreading fractures and fled in terror. The dragon Qilin, who had been diligently cultivating, raised his head and leapt away the moment a crack surged toward him. The ground where he had stood split open, forming a chasm over 10 miles long, growing deeper by the breath. The dragon Qilin shuddered in fear as Hulinger leapt onto his head, shouting, "Fatty dragon, run! Young master is revealing his true form." The dragon Qilin scrambled away, leaving behind thunderous explosions. Hulinger glanced back and saw the green bull also fleeing for his life. Behind them stood the sentry tower, 300 yards tall and spanning an entire hectare. The explosions came from the tower itself. Twisted by spatial fractures, it shattered into countless fragments, each piece floating within its own shattered pocket of space. Soon, more explosions erupted as the divine arts left behind by gods and devils in the ruins of Blectical. Without Embroiling City were triggered, a chain reaction followed, detonating one after another. Fireworks bloomed across the fragmented void, breathtakingly beautiful. Yet Hulinger had no time to admire the spectacle. Her gaze remained fixed upon the butterfly wing light, and she sighed in disappointment. Young master isn't a fox spirit, he's a butterfly spirit. Qin Mu stood upon the collapsing ground, sinking downward as the earth crumbled beneath him. The same fate befell Butcher, Blind, and the others, until fiery magma churned below their feet. The ruins of Without Embroiling City sank into the depths. Massive stones and broken walls plunged into bubbling magma, igniting into flames. Everyone struggled to maintain their footing. Butcher, Mute, Blind, Granny C, and Bashan joined forces, resisting the fractured space while shielding Apothecary and Death. Cripple darted through the shattered void, attempting to approach Qin Mu. All were shaken by the unfolding catastrophe. Blind reached out and grasped Divine Spear Long Tuo. The spear moved in harmony with his body as he unleashed countless spear shadows, blocking the perilous forces in the surrounding space. Butcher, help me get close. I must seal that eye. Butcher seized his heaven knife and rushed to his side. Granny, Mute, protect the others. The two advanced together, step by step, toward Qin Mu. Yet with space itself splitting apart, even traversing a few yards became a near impossible task. They struggled forward against the strange force tearing the void. Suddenly, Butcher glanced downward and saw the entirety of Without Embroiling City sinking into the magma below, a boundless sea of fire. From that inferno, an incomparably strange devil chi surged forth. It was unlike the corrupted spirit chi of Supreme Emperor Heaven's devil territory. This chi was ancient, primordial. It was Yudu devil chi. Clearly, the entity within Qin Mu had awakened, tearing open the boundary between the living world and the underworld, linking reality with Yudu. The two elders pressed forward until they were but 3 to 6 yards from Qin Mu. Yet that distance felt like an unbridgeable chasm. A powerful force locked their weapons in midair. Neither Butcher's blade nor Blind's spear could advance further. Their bodies creaked under the crushing pressure from all directions. Blind's frame shrank further, and even Butcher seemed to diminish in size. They were nearly compressed into spheres. Summoning all his strength, Butcher carved a path forward for Blind, blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. Seizing the moment, Blind thrust Divine Spear Long Tuo toward Qin Mu's third eye with trembling hands. As a master of formations and sealing arts, his skill was unparalleled, yet the spear could not reach Qin Mu's brow. "Mu'er, wake up!" Blind gritted his teeth, forcing the spear forward. The skin on his hands split open, blood seeping out and evaporating instantly. "Butcher, I cannot hold on." Blind coughed, blood spilling from his mouth. The dragon head of Divine Spear Long Tuo cried out as well. "My lord, I cannot endure much longer." The spear tip began to crumble. Blind's hands trembled violently, and the flesh of his arms started to fall apart. At that moment, Qin Mu raised his hand and grasped the jade pendant at his chest, tearing it free. "Don't throw it," Blind rasped weakly. Qin Mu's expression was cold and indifferent. He opened his fingers, letting the jade pendant fall into the sea of fire below. Despair filled everyone's hearts. Cripple sped through space, attempting to catch it, but he was too late. At that instant, the magma churned violently. 2 sharp, 9 curved horns rose forth, followed by a majestic figure with a bull's head and tiger's eyes, a god emerging from the flames. Cripple hastily retreated, shouting, "Earth Count! Earth Count! You ruined my plans again!" Qin Mu roared in fury. Earth Count seized the jade pendant and flicked it upward with a finger. The pendant flew back, touching Qin Mu's brow and sealing the devil eye. In the next moment, the pendant vanished, entering Qin Mu's third eye. All abnormalities ceased at once. The fractured space mended itself, and the magma form of Earth Count collapsed, returning to the molten depths. Qin Mu fell from the air. Blind quickly hurled Divine Spear Long Tuo, which transformed into a skeletal black dragon that caught him mid-fall. It soared into the sky before landing beyond the ruins of Without Embroiling City. Blind spat out a mouthful of blood. Butcher, Granny C, and the others exhaled deeply as they emerged from the ruins and returned to solid ground. Qin Mu lay unconscious, his third eye closed. Cripple rushed over, staring at him with lingering fear. "That thing in his eye, is it still there? Should we pry it open and check?" Everyone shot him a glare, and he immediately fell silent. Granny C muttered to herself before speaking. "Though that strange thing was sealed by Earth Count, we must still confirm." She extended a trembling hand toward the third eye, yet before she could touch it, the eye opened on its own. Startled, Granny C stumbled backward. Qin Mu suddenly sat up, looking at her in confusion. "Granny C, why are all of you gathered around me?